Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lowdown Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, kind of discombobulated because I'm rushing through this show before my kids go trick-or-treating. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about the Jalen Hood Schifino decision that the Lakers dropped today at the 11th hour. They waited all the way until the last minute to finally make their decision on him. I think that was part of it gives you some insight into what the Lakers were doing there. So I'm going to talk about that. I also obviously reported earlier in the week that the Lakers would be picking up Jalen's third-year player option. Some, intel there to come out of that situation too. Also, I'm just going to say it. I got it wrong. No excuses. I hate, trust me, you guys think that you guys think that you are frustrated with the fact that I got this wrong. Like, it has been bothering me all day. You can ask Harrison. You could ask any number of people. I've been texting people, messaging people, saying how annoyed I am at how this all played out. So apologies for getting that one wrong. I would say that it'll never happen again, but that won't be true because we miss stuff all the time. And I just got to do a better job of trusting my instincts on this stuff rather than just running with what people were telling me. So I'll explain what that means here in a second as well. So quick reminder, please do hit that subscribe button. Please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey. And, tell your friends about the show. Tell your friends that you love the show. Tell your enemies that you hate it. And we'll keep this thing growing as well as we possibly can. Let's get going. All right. So, again, earlier this week, Tuesday, I reported that the Lakers would be picking up Jalen's option. I was told that definitively by multiple sources and ran with it. Even at the time, and I have a screenshot. I'm not going to share the screenshot, but I have text exchanges where it was like, are you sure? Are you positive this is what is going to happen here? Are you sure? Because I'm going to be honest, it didn't make much sense to me at the time. My gut was telling me that, no, this doesn't make a ton of sense. Jalen has, not done anything at the NBA level. He has shown promise with the G League, but, the Lakers basically got themselves into trouble with either player or team options heading into the season. The whole back third of their roster is kind of a mess right now with contracts that have been handed out to players who are not NBA players. So my instinct was saying that it would make more sense for them to just kind of cut bait here and move forward and not have roster spots next year taken up by players who are not NBA players. And I'm sorry, Jalen is not an NBA player. So I kind of moved forward though, because I was told, definitively, no, this is what we're thinking about doing. And I moved forward with my reporting, and I published the article for Clutch Points. I've since apologized to Clutch Points too. And, obviously, as it turns out, got it wrong. So, again, apologies for that. I've been kicking myself all day for it and am going to do every bit that I can to make sure that doesn't happen again. Though, again, we all miss stuff all the time. So, now what I will say is in reaching out to the people who told me that this was definitely going to happen. What I did find over the course of the day is that this was not a unanimous decision in the Lakers organization. There are still people. Alexander, I can't state my source. Do you understand how journalism works? um, like, Rob told me. No, like, what are you talking about? Anyway, the people that I spoke to today and are all right. I apologize, Alexander. The reason is the reason I say that there I have that reaction is because that's like all over my mentions all the time. You don't have sources. Tell me who your sources is. And I'm like, I can't do that, or else I will no longer have any sources. But so I was reaching out to the my daughter just threw something at the door. Oh no, it was my son. So the people I was talking to today made it clear that their advice to Rob was to pick this option up because it doesn't necessarily help you move this guy. Now, the Lakers have been trying to trade him dating back to last trade deadline on through this summer and into the beginning of the season. There are some whispers out there that the Lakers were trying to open up a roster spot with some kind of uneven trade. And like you can't like stack veteran minimum contracts right now, but you could stack a veteran minimum with a rookie scale contract. And the Lakers, have been trying to do whatever they can to basically, free up the back third of this roster. Unfortunately, no team out there was really all that interested in Jalen Hood Schifino. He's uneven trade, meaning you send out 2 players, you get back 1, Jan Morales. So like the Lakers made calls, took calls. They've been having constant conversation with teams all over the league, and Jalen's name had come up in the past. It's just that a lot of teams are a little nervous about his health history, his injury history. Just had spinal surgery over this last summer. The Lakers themselves, like, this was part of the reason that they made this decision too, is they're a little nervous about the future of his body and how he's going to hold up moving forward too. And you combine, he's only played 21 games so far. And he is super young, and it does need to again be repeated. And Raj would shoot me if I didn't mention this. He has looked good at times in the G League. He's been a productive player in the G League, just like Jay Huff was a productive player in the G League, just like Colin Castleton was a productive player in the G League. It's just tough at this point. There isn't enough data, I don't think, to figure out like how well players performing well in the G League translates to parent team production. So, so that I reached out to people, and they told me that they think that this could be a mistake, cutting ties on this guy while they have such a small sample size to work with on him. But Westwood, he was really effing good the back half of the year in the G League. His 3-point shot was coming around. It was really promising. It really kind of stuck out to me, though, that he didn't play in the summer league this last year, even though he was practicing. So he's like practicing, but they held him out of the games for some reason. Asked around about that and was told, like, I still not too sure about how his body would hold up. And, they just wanted to give other guys looks with that summer league group. And it's just a tough situation all around. So again, what this means now for him is he will be an unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. This doesn't, however, definitely mean that he is done as a Laker. The Lakers can bring him back this summer if they don't trade him. If they trade him, his time as a Laker is probably done for the foreseeable future. If they don't trade him, if he isn't moved at some point this year, he will be a free agent, and the Lakers will be able to bring him back for any amount less than the $4 million uh, team option that they just declined. The reason for that clause in the CBA is so that teams don't like circumvent these cap rules and decline a player's option with the intent to bring them back on a longer term contract in that following offseason. And the same goes, by the way, for the team that trades for Jalen if he is moved this year. I'll talk about that here in a second. So, like, yeah, this decision, it admits failure on a pick. It admits that they missed this one pretty bad. In my opinion, you could go through, draft pick history for the Lakers, and I think this is pretty definitively the worst draft pick in the last like 20 years or so. Some people have said first round pick. Some people have said Javaris Crittenton, and I get it because of what wound up happening in his career, especially off of the court. But Crittenton helped get you Pau Gasol, and before he was traded for Pau, showed some stuff. I liked Crittenton, the player, before they moved him for Pau, and JHS hasn't even shown that really at the NBA level. So, yeah, it's a tough spot for Jalen. It was a tough decision for the Lakers, one that again, I don't think that they are necessarily in full agreement on internally, and they are all going to now move forward. Trying to open up as much flexibility as they have. And Bobby Marks tweeted this out. He was kind of tweeting about the cap situation here for the Lakers. The Lakers, I believe, are going to be below the tax threshold, they are well below the second apron as things currently stand contractually going into next offseason. And I think they still are going to be doing some work to see either how much further they can go below that tax number, or because if they do a little bit more, they could use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception next year, which is about $14 million. Now that does hard cap you to below the first apron, which they would have to do. It would hard cap you there, and it would make the team very cheap next year. And that's just really difficult, I think, to compete with the teams that are above the first apron, let alone the second one. Like, everybody's going on and on and on about how great the Celtics roster is. It's an expensive ass roster. They are above the second apron. They have been above the second apron, and they are as deep as they are because the guys at the end of that bench or nearing the end of that bench or at the end of that rotation are higher than veteran minimum type players and higher than even rookie scale players. So, again, I get both sides of this. I do. I get it from the standpoint of like, they are sick and tired of having so many players at the end of the roster who are not NBA players. The other side of it is like, is this the way you want to go about that? Because it doesn't give you any immediate relief on it. And now you potentially have a little bit less flexibility next year. It's just one of those moves. And the person I really feel the worst for is Jalen. It's not, again, like I said the other day, it's not his fault that the Lakers made a bad pick. He has had a brutal injury stretch to the beginning of his career, again, needing spinal surgery. All that he sees anytime he logs on to social media are Lakers fans livid at the fact that the Lakers not only, traded for him, but used that pick at all. That, obviously hindsight is 2020, but I said at the time that they needed to use that pick in a trade and get some more immediate help at a time when they had expiring contracts like Mo Bamba and Malik Beasley. They could have done some very interesting things using the pick that they used on Jalen and that expiring money. Instead, they let that money expire and took Jalen Hood Schifino and just compounded mistake after mistake after mistake. And now here they stand where it's like they're going to lose that asset for nothing, and obviously have foregone the opportunity cost without, getting anything in that time. So tough spot for everybody. I guess you got to give some credit to Pelinka for admitting to a mistake here and cutting this one early. Now we'll just kind of see if they're able to turn him into anything on the trade market. Whoop, wrong button. Now, what does this mean for Jalen, the trade piece? It's different now. I'm not going to say it's better. I've seen a lot of people saying that this now makes him more tradable. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's true. It doesn't make him less tradable, I don't think either, because he is an expiring contract now. He's just a different asset. And teams that would be trading for him would now be doing so for a different reason. Had they picked up that option, and this is a guess, this isn't sourced. My guess is they talked to people around the league and they asked teams, would you consider him a better asset with the team options, picked up or without it, and got whatever kind of feedback. I'm not saying they're acting on that feedback either. I'm just saying that that's probably conversations that they had with other teams. But the reason I say he's a different trade asset and not a better or a worse one is because if you pick up the option, a team would be that acquired him would be acquiring him with the notion of like, we can fix him, right? Think of what the Dodgers have done over the years with Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Blake Trinan, and so on and so forth, right? They've done it a lot with pitchers. They get these pitchers who these teams give up on, or they get these players. Chris Taylor's another one that these teams give up on, and then they either make a tweak to their pitching approach or to their pitching, delivery, or they make a tweak to hitting approach or to the actual swing, and the player becomes a more productive player. And now the Dodgers now bought low on a player, developed that player, and then reap the rewards for flipping that player, and it not even like flipping implies that they move the player, but like literally just having that player now being a better and more productive one that they got for bargain basement price because another team gave up on him. Well, if you're another team and you're interested in doing that with Jalen Hood Schifino, it doesn't make like you would prefer that he had that option picked up and you would have him cost controlled for the next 1 year. And then you can make that decision again after the next year, depending on how that time went while you had him in your organization. When you take him off of that, when you decline the team option, now he is just an expiring salary. And again, I repeat, according to Bobby Marks, and I actually did made some calls on this. So this is what Bobby Marks tweeted out earlier. In the event Hood Schifino is traded this season, the $4 million declined option is the maximum he could sign with as a free agent with the acquiring team. Same goes with the Lakers. Los Angeles has $176 million in committed salary next season, $10 million below the projected tax threshold, and well beneath the second apron. So I thought that I was reading that wrong because it doesn't make any sense to me. But so essentially, if a team trades for Jalen with that team option declined, they essentially put themselves into the situation that the Lakers are in now, having declined the option, where if you buy trading for him at the end of the season, his contract is going to expire, and then you now can re-sign him, but you can only re-sign him to that $4 million option, which means that if a team trades for Jalen and he plays well And some team out there is like, well, shoot, I want to sign this guy for $4.1 million. That team that trades for him is then at a disadvantage in trying to trade or in trying to bring him back or keep him after developing him and getting him to the point where another team might be interested in re-signing him to the extent of $4.1 million. And now look, the likely of that is probably pretty low, having watched Jalen play basketball now. Um, it just, I don't think he is currently and maybe never will be an NBA player. So like teams just aren't that worried about that disadvantage. And now if a team trades for him, it will simply be as an expiring contract, which again is a different spot than he was going into even this last offseason, right? So the Lakers have given up on his upside. And if they canvassed the league and were met with kind of a lukewarm response to what he would look like on an expiring versus a 1+1, for the team option, then it would imply that like the league has kind of given up on his upside as well. And that kind of appears to be the case, has appeared to be the case for the last couple transaction windows when the Lakers have had conversations and included Jalen's name in these trades. And teams were just kind of like, I mean, sure, as a throw-in, but he's not like an asset that we would be excited to acquire for whatever it is that you're asking of us. So yeah, it's tough again to hear all of this if you're Jalen, because you go from being a 17th overall pick, somebody that the Lakers were really excited about, and somebody who like had real promise as an NBA player. You go from that to, yeah, you're just a cap maneuver now, or a a tax maneuver now, only a year later, when all you've had to show for yourself is 21 games in the NBA. It's just tough, man. I hate seeing all this because I was, obviously there's no reason not to root for the kid. And it kind of puts his career in real jeopardy here. Now, as far as like uh Jalen's future and like what the Lakers are thinking here. I if I am Maxwell Lewis, we already saw what happened to Colin Castleton. If I'm Cam Reddish, if I'm any number of players, you don't have to worry about this if you're Bronny, because you're Bronny. But like if you're one of those players at the end of this roster, that you can't quite see a path to minutes this year. And the Lakers just sent a pretty clear message to those kinds of players, like, yeah, we're willing to eat that loss, or we are willing to admit to that failure simply to get the flexibility back by eating that failure. If I'm any of those players, I feel a lot more nervous now than I did 24 hours ago. And I think that 3-0 start that the Lakers enjoyed was, kind of sent a message through the organization of like, ooh, we actually could be legit. Not that they are, not that they aren't, not that, but I think that was the kind of jolt of optimism. Now, it followed 2 losses in a row, hilariously, after Anthony Davis said that they didn't want to lose 2 games in a row. That lasted 1 game. But like the I think the organization kind of recognizes, okay, because remember at media day, You had Rob telling everybody, yeah, we're focused on development. We are going to really work to, um, you know, grow internally, and we are going to invest into the future and all of that stuff. Now you look at it, and Max seems to have regressed this year compared to last year. Colin Castleton is no longer in the organization, obviously, what just happened here with Jalen Hood Schifino. Yeah, they did draft Dalton Connect. And yeah, they did replace Castleton with Koloko, who was also youngish. But like, you would normally, if you're talking like developing for the future, you would have like a battalion of, early 20s players who are going to develop. They don't. Like, their quote unquote young core is mid 20s, basically. Koloko is 24. Dalton Connect, I believe, is also 24. Max Christie is a little younger. I think he's like 22. So you have that going for you. Austin Reeves was an older rookie as well. So he's like 24, 25. Like the Lakers, quote unquote, young core is not all that young. And by the way, it kind of makes sense, right? It makes sense that, like, all right, we're going to work to develop guys, but we can't spend years and years and years waiting for guys to hopefully become something when you have LeBron and you have Anthony Davis in their primes. So um the whole, like, we are focused on development and we're going to gamify the development, whatever the system, whatever weird tech bro phrases that Rob was using, it was pretty easy to see through that then. And now you look at that messaging and it looks even funnier in the light, because you have Maxwell Lewis and he's a little younger, and yeah, you have Bronny and he's a little younger. And I guess now you have Quincy Oliveri and he's a little younger. So you do have like some young players that can eventually develop. But like, the notion of the only way that they were going to get better, the way that Rob was kind of telling us then at media day, that's kind of out the window now, right? Like, the focus now, I think, swings back to, okay, we tried that, and their attempt at trying that winds up being like the worst draft pick of the last couple decades. Let's actually like use some of our, hopefully this is the lesson that they take from this. I don't know for sure, but hopefully they looked at how all of this played out and can now say, like, okay, yeah, let's get more immediate help here with, yeah, Reeves turns 27. It's like, it's not like a young core anymore. And um you have some success stories, but I think you have louder failures here. And when you consider what the Lakers could have done with the Jalen Hood pick, uh, and how that turned out, right? That's got to be a big regret there internally. And look, like, uh, speaking on kind of another side of this, more on the plus side, it does help that you have an executive in Rob Pelinka who feels confident enough to just be able to go to Jeannie and say, "Hey, we screwed that up. Uh, we're going to try to trade him as an expiring this year. That one's on us." I doubt he's saying me, but like, that one's on us. We can't do that again. Let's see what we could turn him, because if you combine him and D'Lo, it's like 22, $23 million of expiring money. You have those 2 first round picks that you could potentially move. You have a bevy of second round draft capital that you could also move at a time when second round picks are becoming pretty valuable because of how um because of how valuable, or those second round picks are very cost controlled, even more cost controlled than first round picks. So yeah, I think I don't understand Pale Fox's point here. If you don't pick JHS no connect, I don't think that's true. Um, like, if you're like, that's, I think that's some copium there, than more so than like reality. It's like, could you have landed at the 17th pick, or would you even need connect if you turned uh that first round draft capital? And like, if you would have combined Mo Bamba and Malik Beasley's expiring contracts at the time, That would have been nearly 20 million bucks. You combine that with first round draft capital, and that would get you like Kuz. Like Kuz could be a Laker right now. So you could ask yourself, um, you could ask yourself, would you rather have Kuz or Connect right now? Or a player like Kuz or Connect right now. And there's a chance that you could have both. But anyway, that's the situation here. And we'll see how all of this plays out as Jalen continues on his career and tries to regain his footing, as the Lakers try to move on from Jalen and from the mistake of using a draft pick and then using it on him specifically. And here we are. And look, again, hand to God, I'm sorry. Like, trust me, I have been beating myself up all day for this one. Um, it really says something how annoyed I was over missing this like this. That the Dodgers won a World Series yesterday, and I didn't spend all day just kind of soaking all of that in. Like, it was this needled me like just constantly in the back of the neck, and here we are. All right. So anyway, I'm going to end this one here and go trick-or-treating with my children. To all of you who are going to go trick-or-treating tonight, or if you're going to Halloween parties, please be safe out there. Please, if you're going to be drinking, hop in an Uber. If you're hosting people and they're getting ready to leave and they don't look like they're ready to go, trust me, it's much easier to just pay for their Uber than watch their lives or somebody else's lives get ruined by making that wrong decision there. It is a big drinking night. It is a big busy night. There's a bunch of people out on the roads, either walking or driving. And I just hope that everybody enjoys tonight in a safe and responsible manner. All right. So, I got to make sure we don't have any super comments. Doesn't look like we do. I guess one more thing to talk about here, just really, really quickly. The Lakers told us 2 weeks ago that 2 weeks from then we would be getting a Jared Vanderbilt update. I would hope that we're getting that soon, um, because that's obviously a very important update. It would also say a lot if the beat reporters don't ask about it, or if we don't really get one. But and look, like even if we do get that update, I wouldn't really trust too much until we actually see Vanderbilt out on the court. But it would be good to hear that he's practicing fully, or that he's if I hear ramping up one more time, I'm gonna kick a beagle. But yeah, we'll hopefully hear a little bit of information on that. I still think we're a couple weeks away from hearing about Wood because of when he got his surgery. So but hey, if we get an update there, cool too. And yeah, that's what to look for in the next couple days. All right, now that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lowdown Podcast. Again, please hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. If you guys are watching on Twitter, head on over to youtube.com/@Lakers Lounge to help the show grow there. If you guys are listening to this in the morning, please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you get your podcast, preferably on Odyssey. And until the next time you guys hear from me, which I believe, today's Thursday, so you probably won't hear from me again until Sunday evening. I'm Anthony Irwin saying have a great rest of your day and weekend, and please have a safe weekend. Enjoy that parade tomorrow, all of you who celebrate that one. To all of my people who are celebrating Dia de los Muertos, have a good time there too. And I will talk to y'all again on Sunday night. Bye, everybody.